80% or more, and this is a fact, will relapse within 6 months of leaving treatment. So they pay all this money, go away to rehab, and then within 6 months, 80% or more are drinking again.
This is where I get super conspiracy, right? Because I'm sat there thinking there's a big they in the sky somewhere.
The brain is still addicted to alcohol. Like, they still want to drink every day. They're just supposed to like go to meetings, call themselves an alcoholic, say they, have this allergy or whatever. So it's set up to fail people.
The alcohol people are sat next to the drug people and they're like, well, I sell so much vodka, you should not sell this treatment because I won't make my money from my vodka. And also, if I keep selling my vodka, you therapy people are going to make money because they like my vodka.
Well, 10% of the population drinks like 90% of the alcohol or something. So they do count on the really heavy drinkers for the majority of their profit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Chattin podcast. I am your host, Josh, as always, here, and I'm boiling today. So if I'm stuttering or anything, just ignore me. I'm overheating. Ginger people don't do well in the heat. You all know this. And today I've got Katie with me. Katie is basically going to tell us her story about going from addiction to now helping people with addiction and heading something that does help people with addiction. But we're going to let her tell all of that because I'll butcher it myself personally. I've read up and I'm like, right, let Katie tell her story. But firstly, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. Yeah,
Good.
Glad to be here with you.
Awesome. And whereabouts in the world are you, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I'm near San Francisco, so it's funny that you're hot over there because it's like gloomy and foggy here. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around. It's usually the other way around. We're usually like freezing over here. Yeah, no, I did see that you're in California, and it's interesting to me because my fiance, she's from California.
Oh, cool. Whereabouts?
So, like the Hollister area. Is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is that a place?
Yeah, Hollister's a place. It is. California is so big. So yeah.
Yeah. And I spend like a fair bit of time in America, so we try to do like a few weeks of the year, like come over. And I was applying for my visa and going to come over, but that's all like sort of at the minute.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, cool. So firstly, I want to thank you for coming on and basically willing to tell your story. I know it's not easy for everybody to talk through hard shit in life. So yeah, no, I think that's great. So I'd like to start us off by basically starting from the beginning, really, regarding like your upbringing. Was there anything in your upbringing that sort of led you to any sort of like addiction? Is there anything you can look back on? And
yeah, I mean, my particular addiction, though I did experiment with a lot of different drugs during my time. Alcohol was my main thing that I struggled with, and it ran in my family for generations. And it was kind of like, I was raised around it. It was a badge of honor if you could hold your liquor, and the more you drank, the stronger you were. And so I grew up around that. And I, my parents both drank a lot, though now they're sober and over that. But just cousins, aunts, uncles, family, brothers, sisters, everybody drank a lot. It was just so normalized in my family. So I was exposed to that from a very young age. But to be honest, like looking back, I was kind of naive to how addictive alcohol was, because I was like, that happens to other people. I'll be able to drink and stop anytime I want. And part of my story is that wasn't true. So I was raised around it. And of course, like, I think all of us go through like traumatic experiences, whether real or perceived, big trauma, little trauma. And so things like that happened in my childhood, like they do for probably everybody. But I don't necessarily link that to like the reasons why I drank. But that is part of it.
It's interesting because I ask that to pretty much everybody I speak to who's gone through some sort of like addiction. The reason I ask is very much like you. I'm in the same position. I grew up, my parents, well, to be fair, they're still addicts now. Mm-hmm. There's, you can't help someone if they don't want to be helped, unfortunately. Exactly. As much as I tried. And again, my uncle was an addict. It's you grow up and it can, I'm quite lucky, I suppose. I never really took to alcohol, luckily.
That's good.
Like, don't get me wrong, if I'm watching the football, I'll have a drink. Like, I'm pretty chill with it. But I can also go, do you know what? I don't need it. So I'm quite lucky in that sense. But seeing your parents and your family drinking as a child can really make it look cool. It's like, oh, well, because you look up to your parents, right? And if they've always got a drink in their hand, you're like, yeah, when I'm older, I'm going to be just like my dad.
Yeah.
Yay. And very shortly into my teens, I actually realized I don't want to be anything like my father. So I was quite lucky in that sense. Dad, I know you listen. I love you, but it's just a fact. Like, I'm just being honest. Love you to bits, but God forbid I turned out like you.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, sure. I mean, I looked up to, because my mom thankfully quit drinking like right after I was born. My
Oh,
dad
okay.
later in life, but I didn't look up to his drinking as much because it was very toxic, I would say.
Yeah.
But like where I had older siblings, I looked up to them. They partied, cousins, like, and they made it look so fun. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, it was just this, it was a party, really, it was. And I think at that
Yeah.
time, nothing horrible had happened. It was just, it looked fun, but there's a dark side to it.
I do think everybody needs to party as well. Like, don't get me wrong. I think I wouldn't. I would. You can correct me on this and tell me I'm an absolute idiot. Feel free to do so. But I do believe everybody needs to go out and get drunk once.
Yeah.
You've
I
got
mean,
to have. You
the addiction sets in through repetition. That's the
yeah.
thing. And so, like, looking back, like I said earlier, I was really naive to how addictive alcohol was. I thought it was a free choice that, oh, I can party for years and drink every day, no problem, and then I'll just rein it in when I get a little bit older. I was so naive to the fact that drinking repeatedly, especially to excess, and if you do it daily like I did, you're basically on the path to developing an addiction, even if you think that you won't. And so that's where it can kind of creep in for people. And so I'm not like anti-drinking at all. Like I think it,
Hmm.
like, alcohol is not the problem. It's the addiction to alcohol that's the problem. And there's ways to safeguard around that. Like, you can, as they say, drink responsibly. So I'm not like alcohol is bad, because sometimes people come after me because I'm not like a total like teetotaler of like, you should never drink
Yeah.
alcohol.
Yeah.
The treatment I'm going to talk about, it lets you drink and lets you have control if you want. I choose not to because I just don't want to, but to tell somebody never to drink is just going to make them want to drink, I think.
100%. It's that's the truth as well. It's like, imagine when you're a child. Like, if someone says don't press that button, the first thing you're gonna do is press that goddamn button. Like,
It's
it's
true.
just it's what you do. And yeah, I think, like I say, like I would. There are some people who are like, they've quit alcohol, and it's like, but if that's what you need to do, that's great. But I find a lot of people, like, if you're around them and then they've quit and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a drink, they like give you this like stare, like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, no drinking. And I'm like, what? Listen, it's my life. And it's addiction isn't like, it's different for everybody. Like, people get addicted to different things.
Yeah.
So, whether it's drugs, alcohol, like for me, it was the gym for a good old time, not anymore. But for a good time it was. And when I say I was addicted, I didn't stop thinking about it. I went twice a day. It was like in my
Wow.
brain all the time. And even that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
any addiction can be unhealthy. Um, so with regards to your childhood, that it seems like there's, other than, everybody's, your parents drinking, which I think is quite common anyway. It's good for people to like hear that, though, because some people will look back on that and go, that's why. But it's not always that. It's sort of just, sometimes it's an excuse, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, so at what point, how did your drinking story go, as to say?
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, from my first sip of alcohol, I just knew I loved it." And I definitely had the gene, so that could have been me or should have been me, but I was more of like a slow progression, and then when it took hold, it just took hold. And what I mean by that, like, I started experimenting with alcohol when I was like 15. The drinking age in the US is 21. So like, we would sneak alcohol and I would get drunk, but it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't like, oh, this stuff is amazing. I had fun, but it was like, yeah, okay, alcohol's fun, but whatever.
15 is a late bloomer over here.
Is it? You're like in the bar at 10 or
Pretty much.
yeah. So I experimented for years. I even had a fake ID. So I'd like go out to the
Oh,
bars when I was
sick.
18 and, have drinks and party and get drunk and be hungover and stuff like that. But it wasn't an issue. It wasn't an addiction. And then when I did turn 21, still was in that place where I didn't care much about alcohol. People were like buying me shots on my 21st birthday and I was
Yeah.
like giving them away and drinking a little, but not a lot. And, but then right after I turned 21, I got into a relationship with somebody who was a daily heavy drinker, partier. and I take full responsibility. I was an adult making my own decisions,
Hmm.
but I just started to mirror their behavior. It was something we had in common. We would have fun together, drinking, partying. And again, I thought it was just a phase. I was like, oh, alcohol is actually more fun than I remember it being. Okay, cool. This is fun. Started daily drinking. And then within about a year, I was like hooked. Like I developed, probably less than a year, to be honest. I developed my own alcohol addiction to where I was drinking every day, drinking a lot every day. And after probably 2 years of that, I kind of got scared because I couldn't remember the last even single day that I'd gone without alcohol.
Oh
And that
shit.
scared me a bit. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to take a week-long break, thinking nothing of it. Cool, I'll just take a break from alcohol. And it was so hard. Like that, I
Hmm.
made it 7 days, but I wanted to drink every single day. I was fighting it. I was taking a sleeping pill every night to go to bed at like 7 just to not have to like fight
Jesus.
the urge. And then I made it through the week, but I was like counting down the days. And then by day 8, I
Yeah.
was like full blown back at it again. And that was just like the start of this cycle of realizing I had a problem and trying to fix it and not being able to.
Yeah, I mean it's the same with sort of every addiction, I guess. Is I speak to my uncle about this. He was a an addict to white powder.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to say things over here because everything is illegal. I know that is illegal in most places, but like it's like even if you speak about like weed here, I have to say I allegedly tried it once because I got
Oh,
arrested. Um,
oh wow.
so but he always said it was like, you start off and it's like, it's Friday, I can do this, and then the next week it's like, yeah, it's cool, I'll do it Friday, and then 2 weeks down the line, you're like Friday and Saturday,
Hmm.
and then it leads to the whole weekend, and then it leads to the weekend plus Thirsty Thursday, and da 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 da. And it can take hold of you without you even knowing, and that's the craziest part. You will never know until you get to the point you were at where you're like, I'm gonna try stop, and it's like, fuck, I
Hmm.
can't. Yeah, and it's the same with my mum. She's been in hospital many of times, and you'd think being in hospital, you're like, yep, I'm done, but it just doesn't happen like that. It's such a
Yeah.
hard journey for everybody. Um, so when you got to the point that you realized, there's an issue, did you try? What was like? What did you try, or did it take a while for you to actually get to the point where you were like, right, I need to stop?
Yeah, and I mean, just quickly to your point about what you said to your mom being in the hospital and thinking, "Oh, this should be the thing to motivate me to stop." Like I think when we struggle with addiction, we all hear like, "Oh, there's this rock bottom moment and that'll be the
Mhm.
time where you finally quit." But what I found was that those rock bottoms just kept getting lower. I was tolerating more and more insanity,
Yeah,
and it didn't motivate me to stop. Like it might for a few days or a few weeks, but what I've since learned is that addiction is not logical. So that's why we can't reason our way out of it, even if we're destroying our family, our health, our life, whatever. Oftentimes we will choose the substance we're addicted to over that. We're choosing it
yeah,
unconsciously. Not because we hate our loved ones, not because it's just because of how addiction functions in the brain. We start equating it to a survival need. And so we're obsessed with it, basically. So yeah, I tried a lot of different things to either quit drinking or moderate my drinking. And I
okay,
would try to quit drinking probably, I say dozens of times over the course of a near 10-year period, because there would
yeah,
be days I'd wake up, with regret and I'd be like, that's it, I'm done. And I would make it 2 days and then I'd go back to it, or I'd make it a week and go back to it. One time I made it 6 months, but I always
oh
went
shit,
back
that's
to
a
it.
long time to actually
It
then
is.
go back, right?
And you know what? The whole time I wanted to drink. I wanted to drink
Oh my
so
god,
bad and I was fighting it every day. And I just knew in the back of my mind, I was like, it's just a matter of like when, like how long can I kind of hold out and white knuckle it?
mm,
And now I understand a lot about the brain and what's happening when we're addicted to a substance. And so I understand what was going on in my brain through that time, um, which I'm happy to talk about. But
100%.
I went to AA a couple times. It wasn't for me for various reasons, but my path was kind of like trying, just different abstinence based approaches or reading inspiring books or
Yeah,
doing personal development retreats, thinking that if I became a better person, then I wouldn't want to drink. Trying to set more rules around my drinking, thinking if I did dry January, it would reset my habits. And all of these kind of efforts to kind of will my way better, and nothing worked. And it's interesting. There's actually a phenomenon known as the alcohol deprivation effect. It's been researched for
okay,
decades. And what it shows is that when someone becomes addicted to alcohol, their brain has changed. And when we remove alcohol or we try to quit drinking after the brain has changed, your brain actually becomes deprived of the substance it thinks it needs for survival. And so
oh
when we're
wow,
deprived of anything, our craving for it increases. Like if we haven't eaten all day, all we do is think about food. Like,
Yeah.
where am I going to get food? I'm
Hmm.
so hungry. And something similar happens in the brain when we're addicted to alcohol or other substances. We develop this deprivation and it kicks our craving up or our desire up. And then that's what leads, I believe, so many people back to relapsing. Even if they sincerely want to get better,
Yeah.
the desire to drink or use is like beyond even their like will to live. So they're like, whatever,
Jesus.
I'll destroy my health, whatever, just to keep drinking. That was the place I was in. Yeah. So
So,
I tried a lot of things and I would be successful for periods of time, but I always went back and the drinking always got worse. I was drinking more quantity, harder
mhm.
stuff, more and more secrecy, more and more alone drinking. It just progresses. It doesn't get better for most people on that path, unless you figure out a treatment that works, which is what I did.
I mean, before I carry on, I would like to say, because listen, I'm not a massive advocate for AA. Personally, I don't. I think it's a load of shit. Like, not a load of shit. No, that's it's probably wrong for me. Listen, whatever works for people works for
Right.
people. It doesn't fail everybody, but the failure rate's pretty well. Not the relapse rate's pretty high with like AA and things. Now, I'm not putting the shit on anything. Whatever helps you will
Yeah.
help you. So if anyone's listened to this and they've been through AA and they're like, oh, it was bloody amazing, well done, congratulations. That sounds patronizing. I'm not being patronizing. But yeah, I just, like I say, I've seen the effects it like not had on my mum. So I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I've spoken to a lot of people who are a bit like, why would I want to join a cult? So,
Yeah.
but again,
I,
some people like cults.
yeah. And I have my dad is sober through AA, so I too, I'm very thankful for it. But I think the issue is we pretend it's the only option. And like the
Yeah.
people I talk to, they try it for decades and they keep relapsing and they think it's them. But it's like maybe the system or the treatment you're using just isn't working for you. It's not you. It's like you've been set up for failure because it does have a high failure rate, but it works really well for the people it works for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you get through it, you get through it, and well done. But like
Yeah.
I say, high failure rate. And it's very culty. I just can't get away from the culty side of it. It's like
Yeah.
very much like, yeah. Anyway, the less said about that, the better. I'll probably get a lot of hate for that. So um. So I read that you seen yourself as like a functioning alcoholic. So
Yeah.
do you think that sort of leads people to believe that they're not an alcoholic because they're functioning?
I do. Yeah. And to be honest, like I don't love the term alcoholic even now because it just has such like a stigma associated with it. And
Hmm.
as a society, I think we view alcohol addiction and issues with alcohol like black and white. You're either an alcoholic or you're not. And
Hmm.
most people, like in my case, I was like, well, I still have a job. I have like my family and my friends. Like, I'm not an alcoholic yet. That's like the person who's under the bridge
Yeah.
drinking out of a
Yeah.
paper bag, homeless. So I think it keeps a lot of people stuck because they're kind of waiting for that rock bottom moment to get better. And like I said, my rock bottoms, like I literally had a health condition that the doctor said could have killed me, and I still chose to drink after that. So like, where else was my rock bottom gonna be after
Hmm.
that? So I think what I've learned and is important for people to recognize is that in the medical community, they call alcohol addiction more like alcohol use disorder. So it exists on a spectrum, and
Okay.
people don't even have to self identify as a quote unquote alcoholic. For some people, that's helpful for them, but
Yeah, I'd agree.
it can carry a lot of shame and stigma with it. And if you're functioning, you don't want to just put that identity on yourself. So for people to know, like, this can happen to anyone and it exists on a spectrum, mild, moderate, severe. And so, we don't have to like hit that rock bottom to get better. But yeah, like I think I read a statistic from the CDC here in the US. It said that 1 in 3 Americans drink excessively. And so like so many people are drinking a lot and they probably feel like they're functioning.
Because they go
Um,
to work, they've got a
right.
house, they've got a family, all this sort of stuff. Because when you see, like you say, when you say the word alcoholic, you do think of the guy with a paper bag around a bottle, big beard, scruffy clothes,
Yeah.
like effectively a homeless guy with a drink. And that's another thing as well. So my head's going to go wild, but um, when you like walk past somebody who is unfortunately homeless, like the first thing people think is like, oh, addict, alcoholic,
Hmm.
these sorts of things. I'm like, shit, like it could be someone who owns a business who is suffering from this addiction. Like we need to stop like judging all this shit because it's crazy because like you say, it's got such negative connotations about it. And it's like my mum, I look at my mum, I'm like, she's still my mum. She still goes to work every day. She still does all of this. She just decides to hide her wine behind a teddy bear so you can't see it say. And is that something that you ever did? Did you sort of like hide alcohol so like no one would see you drinking it or anything like that?
Yeah, that was a huge part of my drinking, especially toward the end because I met my husband, and I knew I had a drinking problem before I met him and I was trying to address it. But when I met him, he has a totally normal relationship with alcohol. To this day, I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen him drunk. He has like
Oh,
two,
wow.
maybe three drinks on occasion. It's like a completely healthy relationship with alcohol. And so when we started dating and he told me, I don't drink during the day and I don't keep liquor at home, I was literally thinking, I don't think this is going to work because my alcoholic brain was like, wait a second. But so when we started dating, I really started hiding it from him because I wanted to keep my drinking up and I didn't want him to know how much I was drinking. So I would have stashes everywhere, like have a to-go mug saying I was
Mm-hmm.
drinking tea, but really it had a few shots of whiskey in there and things like that. And I was really, really good at hiding it. He knew I drank a lot, but he didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how bad it was. And to your point earlier, like I've worked with people in this field since 2018, and I would say 99% of the people I talk to, looking at them, you would never know how
Yeah.
much they're struggling with alcohol. Like I'd made a video recently talking about a client I had who was drinking 3 bottles of wine a day, which is like, I mean, I could easily drink 3 bottles of wine a day in my time. And people are like, what? How can you even function? And when you talk to people like this, you look at them, you don't know, you can't
Yeah.
tell. And so, yeah, so many normal, wonderful, successful people have this secret struggle.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you say, you don't know who you're walking past in the street as well.
Yeah.
Um, did you like, what's the way to word this? Your rock bottom. Can you like go into a bit of detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few of them, I would say. Again, it just like kept getting lower because there was times I'd be like, maybe this is the rock bottom, and then
Mm-hmm.
I would like drink again after it. Okay, that wasn't it. What else? What's next? So, there were, I would say, two kind of big ones for me. There were more than that, but the two that stick out in my mind. Number one is I got a bilateral pulmonary embolism. I don't know if you know what that is. It's basically blood
Enlighten me.
clots. Okay,
Okay.
blood
Okay.
clots in both your lungs, and it can kill you because the blood clots can shoot up to your brain and cause a stroke, aneurysm, cause you to die. So
Mm,
I got a bilateral pulmonary embolism and wound up in the hospital for like 4 or 5 days. And the doctor told me I was lucky to be alive. There were several contributing factors. Alcohol was one of them. I have a
yeah.
gene also that makes me prone to blood clots. And I also was on a hormone birth control, which can
Yeah.
help or cause blood clots. So it was like several factors. But when I left the hospital, I was put on blood thinners. I was told I shouldn't drink because it can potentially cause blood clotting. And plus, I was on a medication I couldn't drink on. And so I was like, okay, in the hospital bed thinking, this is it. This is
Yeah.
finally the time I'm going to quit to drink. Like I almost quit drinking. I almost died. And then, like 4 days after I get out of the hospital, I'm back drinking again. I just didn't care about my own life. Apparently, that's how illogical alcohol addiction
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And then another one was I got pulled over and I drink and drive all the time, to be honest. Like I look back in like horror how things could have gone, but they didn't go that way. But
Yeah.
I was really drunk one night and I got pulled over, not because of my drinking, but because of a tail light. And it was late at night. The cop could have easily asked me, have you been drinking tonight? And he
Yeah.
didn't. I'm sure I smelled like alcohol because I'd been drinking for like hours. Didn't ask me that, gave me a warning for my ticket and just let me go. But I was like so terrified in that moment. I was like trembling. I was like, this
Yeah.
is finally it. I'm going to get the DUI. I've kind of been due. And I didn't get one. And I can't, I didn't even, my husband, I never even told him about that, to be
Oh
honest,
shit.
because I was so scared. But that moment for me was like, okay, I really shouldn't drink and drive. I still did after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of showing me how like careless I was being with my drinking. But
Yeah.
even after that, I still didn't quit. Or yeah, I think I started the treatment probably like 7 months after that or something.
Okay.
The treatment that finally got me free.
Cool. So I do want to move on to the treatment now. Um, the because I want to. I think I've heard about this treatment sort of before. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Because in Wales over here, they trialed some drug for addiction. and I think it was like something that you took like once every 3 months, and it blocks like the addiction, the addictive like something in your
Neural
brain.
pathways or something.
Yeah, and then it's like boom, and then when you like think about touching this alcohol, this drug, um, if you it you basically, it makes you feel sick. The smell of it, all of this sort of stuff. Is it anything like that, or is it totally different?
I don't know what that is. If that is, because the medicine that I used as part of my treatment, it could be the
Hmm.
same thing. Like there's different forms of it where there's a tablet, people can get an implant, which maybe is the thing you're talking about. I don't
Possibly.
know.
It was a
Um,
brief podcast I listened to, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I was
yeah.
like, "Shit, I forgot this was like months ago." And I'm racking my brain today, like, "Shit."
What was that? It could have been, though this treatment isn't like sometimes people confuse this treatment with a medicine that's called antabuse, which if you drink on it, you get like violently ill. But this medicine, and maybe it is the implant version of it or something, because you can
Hmm.
put it in your skin for like a few months, I think.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay,
but the one I did, I took the tablet, and what it does is it works to help your brain essentially unlearn alcohol addiction. Like alcohol addiction, when you kind of zoom out and look at what's really going on, how does this happen? We're not born addicted to alcohol. It's something that happens through drinking. If you never touch alcohol, you're never going to get addicted to it. So, a lot of scientists now believe that it's more of like a learned behavior in the brain and it can be unlearned through this treatment, which is essentially what happened for me.
isn't that the same sort of thing as with, or similar, should I say? Because a lot of ex addicts, well, no, yeah, recovered. People want so many different labels. Like my friend is like, "Do not call me a recovered addict." I'm like, "Okay, I won't ever do that again." So I'm sorry. Um, but a lot of people focus on strengthening your mind. It's all about building mental strength. So my good friend Dave, and he's done a phenomenal job. He takes like ice cold showers every morning,
Oh, yeah.
like journaling, running, exercising, like anything that you don't want to do. He's like, if you do that, you will strengthen your mind enough that it will sort of, you can overcome this sort of, sorry, Dave, addiction.
Yeah, totally.
Is it similar in that sense, would you say? Or,
I would say that's like the other half of the treatment. So,
okay.
like, this treatment is really like, do you want me to talk about how it works for just to kind of
Yeah,
paint this
talk to me
picture?
like I'm an idiot. I am,
Okay.
so that's
Okay.
absolutely fine.
Well, just to help kind of answer your question, I want to explain briefly how it works. So, this treatment, it's named after the researcher who discovered it, Dr. David Sinclair. It's called the
Okay.
Sinclair Method, and it uses a medication called naltrexone that you actually take before drinking. So, this is not an abstinence-based treatment. You actually start it while you're still drinking. And what happens when you take the medication before drinking is it sinks into opioid receptors in your brain. It's not an opiate medication, it's an opiate blocker or antagonist.
Okay.
And so this medicine sits on those receptors in your brain. And if the medication wasn't there, when you drink alcohol, it really just floods your brain with pleasure. And that's why alcohol is addictive in the first place, because it's just very rewarding for your brain, like the simplest reason. If alcohol wasn't rewarding, nobody would get addicted to it. And
Right.
so we drink, we get a bunch of reward, our brain loves it. And when we do that over and over again, our brain changes because it thinks, oh, this reward must be really good for me. I'm going to keep chasing after it. And
Yeah.
that's basically when the disorder or addiction sets in. But when you take this medicine before drinking, it's muting some of the rewarding effects from alcohol. It doesn't make it like an unpleasurable experience or a terrible experience. It just makes it like slightly less rewarding. So over time, 3, 6, 9, 12 months, the brain, you're doing the behavior, you're drinking, but the brain isn't getting the same level of reward. And
Okay.
so, like anything, if we do something and it's not as rewarding, we're probably going to be less motivated to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and when you repeatedly drink and you don't get the same reward, what happens for a lot of people is they think about alcohol less. They desire it less. If and when they drink, they might have a couple drinks, but they don't want more than that because it's not super rewarding. Like two is satisfying. That's all I need. They find that they're spending more time alcohol free, like just choosing not to drink because they don't really feel like it. Because again, the brain isn't getting the same level of reward. For me, it was like alcohol kind of became like iced tea. Like I like iced tea. I might have a couple iced teas, but I'm not going to have like 12 and I'm not going to
Right.
obsess on when I'm going to have iced tea again. It's like just became like unimportant, I guess is one way to put
Do
it.
you still get drunk when you're like taking this medication?
You can definitely still get drunk. Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't block the intoxicating effects, but it just makes it like, I guess one way to put it is like it's a little bit less euphoric. For those of
Right.
us who've struggled with alcohol, it's like you have one drink and you're already thinking about the next, and you're like, woohoo, like let's just keep this party going. And
Hmm.
you just, at least for me, like I wanted to drink to get drunk. And so with this treatment, it just slowed that down. And I would literally have two drinks and I'd be like, yeah, I don't want a third. It doesn't sound good. Like I'm good with two, which is crazy to me because two was just starting out
Yeah,
for me
yeah.
before. But so that's like the treatment. You drink on this medicine over a long period of time and it helps the brain unlearn the addiction. But then the other side of it, back to like what your friend is saying, is you have to expose yourself to new hobbies, new challenges, new coping skills to rebuild a life apart from alcohol because we get to this place on this treatment where we're like, I don't really feel like drinking, but now what is kind of the
Yeah, what do I
question.
do? Like, yeah.
Especially
Okay.
me as a daily drinker. It was like, okay, I spend all my free time drinking. So, like, who am I even? What do I even like to do? So, there's that other piece of it. Like, I don't want to come on and be like, cool, there's a pill that will cure you from addiction. Like, the medication is amazing at what it does, but it takes time and it also takes cultivating a life apart from alcohol.
And do you find that the other things that you're doing, such as like, let's say, um, when you're on this medication and you're like, right, I need to fill this time, do you have to make it something which is, just as sort of rewarding? So, a lot of people, they'll go running or go to the gym or, whatever releases endorphins.
Yeah.
Are you still sort of, in a sense, looking for that, lack of a better term, high, but in a different avenue? Or,
Yeah, really good question because that really is imperative to success with the protocol. Because for a lot of us, alcohol is that thing we've turned to. It's been our best friend every day after work, for example.
yeah,
And so, as we're drinking less, like I would say most people who go on this treatment, myself included, just want to be a normal drinker. They want to be able to have a glass or two of wine and then not drink the rest of the week. And so, what am I going to do with the rest of the time? So, it really does become important to seek out other pleasures. And for me, because I started drinking at such a young age, it was like, okay, well, what did I like to do in my late teens, as a reference point? And so I would literally like go out for ice cream or go to a movie or go get a massage, just these simple things. But what it did for me is my brain was unlearning the pleasure and reward from alcohol and the addiction to it. And then it was learning these other things like, oh, after a crappy day, actually getting a cheeseburger and a milkshake and watching a movie is really fun. And my
just don't do
brain
it every
learned,
day, people.
yeah, don't do it every day. Yeah. But it's, yeah, you want to feed your brain new experiences, especially if you've been
Yeah.
drinking for a long time. You may not have those things as like habits. You have to cultivate different habits. But it's so much easier to do when the brain isn't craving alcohol. Like when I would try to, I told you I made it 6 months, like
Yeah.
sober before this treatment. It was just like, how can I distract myself? Don't go here because they're going to be drinking. Don't watch that because there's alcohol in it. Like just building like a very small world, I was still very much obsessed with alcohol even though I wasn't drinking it. And
Yeah.
with this treatment, that obsession lifted. I didn't care about drinking. I didn't drink most days because I genuinely didn't want to. If someone was drinking in front of me, it did not matter. There was no story, there was no desire. It just my brain healed. It's like it got back to the place it was in before I ever developed the addiction.
So let's just say you've pitched this to me right now, right? You've just pitched this pill to me, right? I'm gonna say the first things that come to my head are,
Yeah. Oh,
what
I
are the
love
side
this.
effects?
Yeah.
And secondly, how did you not think, how is this not too good to be true?
Okay, so first question, the side effects. So, this medicine, by the way, it's a generic medicine. It's been around for decades and it's
Okay.
very cheap in most parts of the world. It's possible to get in the UK.
NHS.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think you can get it on the NHS from what I've heard.
Well,
It's
they need to
like,
fix that shit because that's stupid.
I know. I know
That's so
people in the
dumb.
UK that work with this treatment and they're working to raise awareness, but they work with private doctors who prescribe it. But it's crazy that it's not available because it's not addictive. The side effects are very mild and it's safe to use long term. So the side effects that not everyone has, but some people have, is they get nauseous in the beginning, they get sleepy, maybe they can't sleep. Those are like the most common ones, like stomach issues, sleepiness,
Yeah.
or insomnia. But for most people, those typically go away in like the first week or two. That was my experience, what I've seen with others, and also what the research says. And so I know for me, like I had mild stomach issues in the beginning and I was kind of sleepy, but within
Okay.
like a week, those went away. And I would literally have to, when I took it, I would like make a note because I wouldn't know if I took it or not. Like I had no side effect
Oh
or anything
shit.
like that. Yeah. So there's like no side effects really
It's way
for
better than
most
going
of
cold turkey as well, right? Because like
them.
if you go cold turkey, you're getting the sweats, you're getting the shakes, you're getting the headaches, all of this shit. Like
Yeah.
when my mum went to the hospital, they gave her some sort of medication for it, but effectively all they were doing is giving her the same shit that alcohol gives you, but in like a pill form. And it's like,
Yeah.
and also, I don't know if they tried to do this in over there, but they're like, so because she was like an addict or whatnot, they were like basically, and I could be wrong, but I thought this was so dumb. I could be totally being dumb right now though, so bear with. They were like, you, but what I need you to do is during your recovery, the first day I need you to drink like a bottle of wine. Bearing in mind she wasn't even drinking a bottle of wine. And
Wow.
then they were like, oh yeah, but then the week after you go down to 3 glasses a day. Then the week after that you go down to 2 glasses a day. And I'm like, that sounds so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Is that
They just
like,
didn't want her to go through withdrawal. Is that what it is? So they were
I
titrating it down.
assume so, but what the, like,
Yeah.
shit. That's crazy, right?
Well, and that is the strategy some people use. But to be honest, when your brain is addicted to alcohol, trying to control your drinking to like, okay, let's reduce, it's so hard because your
Yeah.
instinct is to drink as much as you can. So yeah, it's that's like what Dr. Sinclair, who discovered this treatment, that was like his kind of uh proposition to people, is that going on this treatment, like you said, it avoids kind of the detox or withdrawal symptoms because you're gradually reducing through the help of the medicine because you just
Yeah.
are desiring to drink less. And so it kind of gets rid of the need for like that typical inpatient detox rehab program. You can literally do it at home and gradually drink less from home, not because you're like white knuckling it or forcing it, because this medicine is just working to fix the issue neurologically in the brain.
It's helping you
Yeah.
out. It's like running, but like having superpowers.
Yeah.
Like imagine if you were like trying to lift a building and you weren't Superman, and then you were Superman. It's like boom. Yeah, that was a really good analogy, Josh. Well done.
I love it.
um, so how did the this medication and this process get offered to you, explained to you, and what were your first thoughts? Because I'd imagine you were a bit like, "What the fuck is this? This is crazy."
Yeah, I mean, to your point earlier, I thought it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
The way I learned about it was there's a TEDx talk where a
Okay.
sci-fi actress here in the US, she used it and she told her story in this TEDx talk. It's called How I Overcame Alcoholism by Claudia Christian. It's still on YouTube today. I think it has over 5 million views.
Okay.
Um, I was just constantly searching for alternative treatments because I was always looking for a way to fix my drinking. And I had like this instinct, like there has to be something out there that's just more than just like white knuckled sobriety.
You were looking for
Um,
a cheat code.
yeah. And people sometimes get mad at me. They're like, that's cheating. I'm like, why would I not work with
Why
my
would you not?
brain?
Yeah.
Hello.
What
Yeah.
It's so dumb. That is
Yeah.
so dumb. You should have recovered the hard way.
Yeah. I
No.
know. Believe me, I tried that. I don't think I was going to ever recover that way. I don't know. It's scary to think about. But yeah, I thought it was too good to be true. But like, I watched the video multiple times when I first saw it because I was like, what is this? Why haven't I heard
Hmm.
of this before? Um, and no doctor had ever told it to me. I'd never come across it in all my years of research, and so I learned about it and I knew, okay, my first step is I've got to get my hands on this medication. That shouldn't be too hard. It's just a
Hmm.
prescription. And I couldn't get the dang prescription. I called so many doctors in my area and nobody would prescribe it to me, which was crazy because I was researching it. I knew it wasn't addictive. I knew it had been approved for alcohol for decades by the FDA here in the US. I knew it was generic and cheap. Yeah, I like was reaching out to all these doctors, general doctors, addiction doctors. Oh, no, we won't prescribe that. Or maybe if you go to detox and rehab, then we might prescribe it. But nobody would prescribe it to me.
That's
So I
so
was like,
stupid.
I felt like I found this golden ticket and I was like, what? So that was my first introduction to it. I couldn't get the medication.
So is it something is it pretty hard to get to get it prescribed?
A lot has changed since I went on it in 2017, thankfully. In the UK, it's still difficult to get from what
Big
I've
pharma.
heard. Well, and that's the thing. It's like this medication is generic. There's no major pharmaceutical company out there like marketing it or pushing it. And so, yeah, it's just crazy to me that it's like so poo-pooed. Um,
I wonder
but
why. Why is that not on, like, because in America, obviously, they advertise drugs on TV, right?
yeah,
We don't do that over here. It's like there's a law against it. So when
yeah,
I first watched American TV, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was weird.
yeah.
But more to the point, why do you think they don't like advertise it? And like, because my head's going conspiracy theory now.
Yeah, it probably should be. It is a conspiracy, I think. I mean, just because I've been at this since 2017 and I've talked to experts in the field who've been researching this medicine and proponents of it, and then people who aren't proponents of it. And I think there's a few things. Number one, because it is a generic medicine, to advertise medication or hire people to go talk to doctors about medication, that costs a lot of money. So they have to
Yeah.
charge a lot of money. And this medicine, I mean, in the US, you can get a month prescription for less than $20, even
Oh
without
shit.
insurance. So it's like very cheap. So there's no money to be made in it,
Mm-hmm.
number one. Number two is that it actually had this warning for a long time on it, which was incorrect and has since been removed. But there was this warning that if you take this medication, it's going to basically kill your liver or be really bad for your liver. And that just wasn't true. The only case that that was true in is if you're taking like a mega dose of it, which is
Mm-hmm.
like way more than what you would take for alcohol. And so that warning actually got removed like many years ago. It's not on it anymore, but some doctors still believe that it is very dangerous for your liver, but it's not. And people can look
Okay.
up online. Like there's even recent research that says it's been given to people with late stage liver disease because it's not
Okay.
harmful for the liver. So that's part of it. Another part is, a lot of general doctors are the ones that would prescribe it, but they get like no addiction training in medical school. And so they don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable treating it. They just like go to AA. Like, I'm not going to give this to you. So huge lack of awareness around it is another piece of it. And finally, the current treatment system as it exists is a multi-billion-dollar industry that counts on repeat customers because most people, 80% or more, and this is a fact, will relapse within 6 months of leaving treatment. So they pay
Yeah.
all this money, go away to rehab, and then within 6 months, 80% or more are drinking again. So they count on
Wow.
people coming back. And it's a very costly process. Like it's easy to spend 30 grand a month on a treatment here at rehab, and the insurance companies here pay for it. So a lot of time if you have good insurance. So that's part of it. They don't have an incentive to give someone a cheap medicine that they can take at home and gradually reduce their drinking. They want to, up and people have to upend their life, leave work,
Yeah.
leave family, go to rehab. And then what are they supposed to do when they get out? The brain is still addicted to alcohol. Like they still want to drink every day. They're just supposed to like go to meetings, call themselves an alcoholic, say they, have this allergy or whatever. So it's set up to fail people. And so the treatment system that's in place that would embrace a treatment like this, it doesn't want to because it will go against their bottom line.
It's just not
That's what I
lucrative
believe.
enough either, as well, I'd imagine.
I
And
mean,
the
yeah,
alcohol industry are probably. This is where I get super conspiracy, right? Because I'm sat there thinking there's a big they in the sky somewhere, and the alcohol people are sat next to the drug people, and they're like, "Well, I sell so much vodka, you should not sell this treatment because I won't make my money from my vodka. And also, if I keep selling my vodka, you therapy people are going to make money because they like my vodka."
right.
That's where my head goes.
Well, no, and it's true. And I think I saw a statistic that like 10% of the people, 10% of the population drinks like 90% of the alcohol or something. So they do count
Wow,
on the really heavy drinkers for the majority of their profit. And so if those people are drinking less, yeah, it
that's
would impact
crazy.
their bottom line. So I do think there's some conspiracy things around it. Not everyone agrees with me on that, but I've been in this since 2017 and I've just heard too many stories to like think it was just an accident.
Oh, you're talking to the best person to believe in a conspiracy right now,
Let's go down
anyway.
the rabbit
So
hole.
I'm all about that. And with regards to like the medication, is that something you continuously take, or do you take it for a certain amount of time and then you're like, I don't need it anymore?
Yeah, so with this protocol, it's typically taken 1 hour before you drink, and it's taken as long as someone continues to drink. And the reason for that is eventually the brain gets to the point where it's completely unlearned the addiction through
Yeah.
repetition of the medication. It takes about a year for most people. Some people will get there sooner, others might take longer. It's kind of like a weight loss journey where you lose like a pound a week and the results add up over time. That's how the brain just gradually unlearns it. So once someone gets to a place where they've unlearned it, they generally don't have cravings anymore. They're spending a lot of time alcohol free. And if and when they drink, they have a couple and they don't have more. But at that point, it's generally recommended in the research to keep taking the medicine before drinking because it helps prevent the brain from relearning the alcohol use disorder. So in my case, I quit drinking through this treatment kind of accidentally. I wasn't intending to. It just sort of happened. I was like, I don't really care about alcohol anymore, which was so freeing. But if I were to drink again, and I might,
Mm-hmm.
I would just take the medicine before and I'd probably have a drink or two and it'd be quite like an uneventful experience.
You sound very confident in that, which is good. Like,
I'm
you
very
know,
confident.
so many people who have like, I've quit alcohol, and it's like, because obviously I understand that you don't want to, but there'll be so many people who may have, quit alcohol or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I've got a wedding to go to, or
Yeah.
my son's 18 today and I can't even have a drink with him, like, so this gives them possibly, you can't say 100%, but possibly gives them the ability to be able to do that, or a much higher chance.
Yeah. It really does. Like, and I genuinely, because I know what it's like to be sober without this treatment, and I feared a relapse every day. Once I had that drink, it was like done for. And I understand why like AA is so dogmatic that like you can never touch alcohol, and they come for me. They get mad at me for talking about this. I'm not here to be like, hey, if you're doing well in recovery, I'm not saying, hey, start drinking again just for the sake of it.
Try
I'm
it.
really
No.
speaking, yeah, I'm speaking to the majority of people who are drinking a lot and want to cut back, and don't want to have to quit forever, want to have that champagne at a wedding or whatever. And this gives people the option to do that.
And this is the thing as well, it's like, some people, I always look at life as life's got to be kind of fun. Like, it's got to be kind of fun, right? And you can find fun in
Yeah.
so many different things, but having the freedom to, like you say, with AA, it's like they're very strict with it. Like, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, don't
Yeah.
go within 10 miles within a pub because you will drink, like, and all of this shit. Whereas like it should just be not easy, but you should still be able to just live your life and not have to. And if this medication helps you do that, then
Yeah.
that to me is, it's fucking nuts. I don't know about it, for one. Like, I'm ringing my mum straight after this. My mum goes to the doctor's like, right now you need to sort this shit out. But like, I still cannot comprehend how it's not widely known about.
Yeah. I know it honestly baffles me too. And I get that question all of the time from people. Why isn't this more well known if it's so effective? And kind of the reasons I mentioned, it's just been really slow go for this medication to gain awareness and traction. And there's a lot of like, from the doctors who would be offering it, first of all, they
Mm-hmm.
don't know about it. If they know about it, often they don't really understand how it works. So they'll prescribe it in a weird way. That's just what I've seen over and over again. And yeah, it's just it needs more awareness. But I do think something's slowly changing, because like even from when I first went on it in 2017 to
Yeah.
now, like there's doctors here in all 50 states in the US you can get online that will prescribe it, and it's pretty darn affordable. And so it's like it is gaining more traction, but yeah, it's crazy. It's not more well known. And like, alcohol's not the problem. It's the excessive drinking that's the problem. And if someone
Yeah.
has control over their drinking, it can enhance their life, to your point. Like, some people will say, why even advocate for having a drink? It's poison. It's like, yeah, well, eating a lot of sugar is poison, but I'm
So's
still
the
going to
news,
have
and you
like,
watch that.
yeah, exactly. I know. Exactly. So it's like, what's wrong with like having alcohol in your life if it's not causing any harm? I don't see any issue with that. And that's what this treatment allows people to do over time. Like, it's not oh, you take the pill and you're fixed all of a sudden. It's a
Mm-hmm.
process, but man, the results are life changing for most people. And the success rate is very, very high. In his research, David Sinclair saw a 78% success rate. So it works for most people.
And like you say, it's a journey, but so is every way of recovery.
Right.
Every form of recovery is a journey. This just seems like a bit of a cheat code, which why wouldn't you? That's all I'm
I know.
saying. So there's cheat codes. Like, yeah, it's you'd be stupid not to, personally, in my opinion. And does this work for? Is it only alcohol that it works for, or does it, can it affect with like other addictions at all? Like, say, like drug addictions, anything like that? Does it work for anything else?
Yeah, it actually works for a lot of other addictions. It hasn't been as researched for those, but there are research papers for cigarettes, for example, for marijuana, for gambling, for
Vaping.
compulsive, maybe probably vaping too, actually. Um, Compulsive sex addiction, porn addiction. I have an interview I did with a guy who did this treatment for his alcohol, and
Hmm.
he was surprised to find that his compulsive sex disorder went away. And he spoke openly about it. He was like, I didn't even use the treatment for that, but it fixed that. And so it's been used for that. It's been used for binge eating disorders,
Oh wow.
a lot of different things, because it's the same reward center in the brain when we develop these behavioral addictions as well. And so if you
Yeah.
take naltrexone and you go gamble and it's not as rewarding, the motivation kind of wanes over time. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to, keep gambling. So it's promising, for these other addictive behaviors as well.
That's fucking crazy.
I
That's
know.
like, it can work. Like, that is crazy. Like, people need to understand how crazy this is. There is a drug out there that you can take which will severely increase your chances, if not potentially definitely increase your, well, make you do it nearly, but it will increase your chances of being able to quit most addictions by the sound of it, although they haven't all been
Yeah.
researched. And
Yeah.
that's porn addictions, sex addiction, drugs, alcohol, fucking gambling, and it's not on the table. Right, big pharma, big alcohol, big casino, big
Yeah.
porn, they're all in on it. That's the only thing I can put it down to. That is
I,
literally the only thing I can put it down to.
yeah. I mean, it's just because it kind of doesn't have a fighting chance against those things, being that it's a generic drug. And, a lot of doctors aren't enthusiastic about it. They're just
I'm
not.
gobsmacked.
Yeah. It's like everyone talks about biohacking nowadays, and this is like the ultimate biohack to overcome addiction. It works with your brain to help the brain unlearn the addiction.
It's
And when AA came out, we didn't know about neuroplasticity. People thought that the brain was stagnant and like stuck and you couldn't
mhm.
change. And so much has changed since then, but in the big book of AA in chapter 3, it even has a quote, which I basically have memorized, where it says, physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. And that was written in the 1930s. And so at that time, science hadn't uncovered a way to make alcoholics normal drinkers, but it has. It was actually done in the 1990s by David Sinclair,
Yeah,
but it just has, and they're not going to change the book. Like, it's the AA people that come for me. Not all of them,
big
but some of
AA.
them. Yeah. Well, and people are like, AA is free, but you look at how much they make every year, it's like
Mm.
millions and millions of dollars. It's not free. People donate to it. It costs money to keep the organization going. So it's free, but people donate and they make a lot
Yeah,
of money.
yeah. It's a bit like the British Church. No. I can't. Sorry. But that's the thing as well. Like AA, it's like they're subscribing to like subscribing you to like religion and all this sort of stuff. It's like there's so much that they're putting into this one bundle, which I find must make it so hard for people because, like, say me, like I'm an atheist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I am. I don't know. I believe in something, but not like Christian. Like, not that I poo-poo Christianity or Islam or anything. It's just not for me. But
Yeah.
like for somebody like me, if I went to AA and like I say, a lot of it's like based on like a religious like sort of aspect to it. It's like, how would I even start? Is what they're
Mm-hmm.
going to now have to tell me to be like a Christian to be able to quit alcohol, and I'm like, it's not going to work. I've
Mm-hmm.
been through so much, like I've seen so much shit happen. I can't believe in a god.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the thing that draws people to this treatment is that it's science based. It doesn't require faith. And I mean, I believe in God, but AA was not something I was drawn to because even the God I believe in, like, that's not what
Hmm.
AA teaches in my experience. But to each their own. And I think with TSM, the Sinclair method, it draws people to it because you don't have to have a faith in anything. Like,
Yeah.
you just look at the scientific research and the anecdotal evidence and experiences, and you're like, okay, cool, this works for most people. And for me, like when I did the treatment, I didn't believe in God. That's something that's come later afterward. But I just remember feeling so confident being able to, like, the foundation was like, this has decades of scientific evidence behind it. And I can ground myself in that, knowing that this works for most people. It's probably going to work for me. Whereas with AA, it's like, where's the evidence? Where can I ground myself on? Like, where's, the data to show who this is working for?
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, you'll hear different success rates for AA, but Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to poo-poo on it too much. Like I say,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. It gripes me a little bit. I'm just going to be totally honest. But I've spoken to people who AA has worked perfectly for, and
Right.
you just said that you believe in God, and it's after you've gone through your treatment and so on. But that's a big difference between like being told to believe and
Right.
believing on your own. It's
Yeah. Because
there's-
people used to tell me, I would like run away from people on the streets that would try to tell me about it. I'd be like, leave me alone. And just like you said at the start of the call, it's like you can't help people who don't want to be helped. And I think that's
exactly.
true for like religious beliefs as well. If someone doesn't want to believe in something, you're not going to force it down their throat. And that like it was something I came to on my own later, not
Yeah.
because anyone was telling me to.
So basically, AI. No, not AI. AA is causing fraudster Christians as well. I'm joking. Sorry,
Well,
guys.
honestly, I think so. Or just like their own type of religion because it requires you to make a higher power. And I've heard from people who are like, the sky is my higher power, or the chair, or the ocean. And it's just for me, like, that's not, yeah, that's, there's
Bit,
no, I don't know, there's no
it's a
strength in
bit
that.
crazy. Not crazy, but Anyway, less of the AA.
Yeah.
What I want to do is talk about you and Thrive Alcohol Recovery. Um, but before that, is there any more you want to say about the treatment or anything like that, or do you want to now talk about how good life is for you and what you do?
Um, I just to like wrap up the AA bow. I don't mean to knock AA. I think my frustration around it is that there's this belief that that's the only way. And I
Yeah,
just have worked with people over the years who they tried their heart out for years or decades and it didn't work and they feel like a terrible human because they're like, why isn't it working for me? So for people to know who are listening, like if you've struggled with any addiction and a treatment didn't work, it's not you, it's likely the treatment that's failing you.
yeah.
And there are other options, whether it's Sinclair Method or there's other alternative treatments that are coming online nowadays. So just keep looking for the treatment for you. Don't try to, force a treatment on yourself if it's not working for you. That's my frustration around it.
Yeah, and again, I'll reiterate. Like, listen, with regards to AA and that, I know I was joking around, but this there is a sub category to this podcast. It's called comedy. So if deal with it a little bit, it's just but no, like, listen, AA has worked for people. Brain strengthening techniques has worked for people. I know people who have recovered in all sorts of ways. So I'm not
Right.
fully like take some of it with a pinch of salt, people. Some of it's a joke. That's why I laughed. So please don't go crazy at me in my comments. But yeah, Thrive Alcohol Recovery. Talk to me
Yes.
about it. Tell me what you do, and you're the founder of it. And I'd like you to just tell me, like I'm an idiot again, and also the listeners, what that is, what you do, because it's all good. I can read bits, but if people listening haven't read it, then it just makes more sense if you just treat me like an idiot.
Yeah, sure. No
Everyone else
problem.
does.
No, so I when I went on this treatment in 2017, I started documenting my journey on YouTube because I was so blown away by the results. And I was like, just, hey, I'm a real person. I have, issues with alcohol and this is what's happening. So I started documenting my journey and then that
That's brave, by the way. Like,
I,
just
I
just an FYI, that's fucking brave. Like,
I'm
kudos for
I'm
that.
honestly surprised I did it. I just had this like pull to do it because it was changing my life and nobody else was out there talking about it outside of that TEDx talk I saw. I was
Yeah,
like, people need to know. So I don't know, it was something I kind of now looking back, I believe it was God working in me. That's my personal belief. But
yes.
I felt, yeah, this like boldness. So anyway, I started documenting my journey and then that led to people emailing me and then I started kind of coaching people and then that over the years turned into what Thrive Alcohol Recovery is now, which is just a private online program that's completely centered around Naltrexone and the Sinclair Method to kind of guide people through the protocol with everything that I wish I would have had when I did the treatment because like I said, no one was talking about it. I was just kind of navigating it on my own.
Yeah.
And figuring it out on my own. And because it's a long-term treatment, like there's going to be ups and downs, there's nuances to it. Like I said, taking the medication is one thing, but it's another thing to like be strategic about how you spend your alcohol-free days and getting endorphins on those days and, developing new coping skills and things like that. So the program is really centered around the treatment. It's all online, it's private, it's designed to get people started on it and guide them through it with videos and coaching and workshops led by like therapists and doctors and an amazing community of people as well.
That's
So
awesome.
that came out of just like yeah, it's the cliche of like, oh, do what you love and you'll figure it out or whatever. But I was honestly just making videos because I wanted to. I wanted to like tell people about it and help people. And I never imagined I would work in the field, but that's where it's led since I started in 2017. So yeah, and I have a small team that helps me run the program, and they've all done the treatment and succeeded and become certified coaches in it. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it's a cool place. Like, it's not like typical treatment where we're like, telling people they need to cut back their drinking or being
Hmm.
judgy, or it's like our members feel very open to be like honest with where they're at. Like, oh, I forgot to take the medication last night, or I'm really struggling with this. And so it's just this place where we support people through it at their own pace, if you will.
It sounds like I was just like a community. It just sounds like a community of people who are going through the same journey or have been
Yeah.
through the journey. And the key point in that, people, which I've taken from that anyway, is it's people who have been through the journey,
Yeah.
because there is nothing worse than somebody like trying to help you through something, and that's anything. It's like, why would I go to a fat PT? Like, why would you not like recovery tips or anything like that from someone who's been through the addiction?
Yeah.
It just
And that's
doesn't make sense.
that's what I've heard from people over the years who've like gone to therapists that don't support this treatment or don't have lived experience, or doctors who don't have it. They just don't understand what it's like to struggle with it. And so they can say things maybe not even meaning to, but they come across very judgmental or critical or just unhelpful. And so for people who have walked the path and now we're on the
Mhm.
other side, it's just amazing to not only have it as like an inspiration and like something like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too, but someone who's been in like, the darkness of alcohol addiction and, even the difficulties with the treatment. And I will say, like, we bring in experts like our medical advisor, Dr. Volpicelli. He's
Mhm.
another doctor that's been researching this medication for decades and is very passionate about it. So he like comes in and does workshops with our members and stuff too. So we do have like experts in the field that
Yeah,
are who didn't do the treatment, but like our day-to-day team is the
that's
people who've been
awesome.
through it.
And with regards to like becoming part of your community, I'll just call it
Yeah.
community. That's all good. Um, is that for people who are just specifically on uh, this treatment?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
specific to this treatment. So people who are using Naltrexone following the Sinclair method to drink less. And we do that because it's such a niche treatment with its
Yeah.
own challenges, ups and downs, expectations. And so yeah, we specialize in that specifically.
That's awesome. So basically, anyone listening who's suffering, firstly, you want to get on the meds, get on the treatment, go through it, and then you can contact Katie, and then you're just gonna build yourself up, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. And we actually, I will say, like, we work with doctors in the US. So if people are in the US listening and they need that reference, like that's part of our program. We'll like refer you to one of our partners and
Oh, awesome! I
help
was
you
going to
with
ask that.
yeah, the day-to-day use of it. So the doctor kind of does the prescription, and that's typically all the doctor will do, no matter which one you go through. And then we kind of guide people through like the protocol and how to do it and what to expect and all of that.
So am I right in saying that if somebody is struggling with addiction, like let's say I was struggling with addiction right now, okay, and I was in the States and I'm like, right, I don't know where to turn. I've just listened to you talking about it on this podcast, and you can refer them to get the treatment? Like,
Yeah, we can refer them to a prescribing
there we go. That's where
doctor.
I was
Yeah,
going.
totally. And then
Okay.
yeah, so we'll help with that. We can refer them, and then we'll guide them through the treatment and the program.
So you are like a one-stop shop of helping people like change their life.
Yeah, you could say that. For people who are drinking and they want to cut back, like we're the primary, yeah, I think we're the only program in the US that specializes in this particular treatment.
Take the win. You are okay. You
Yeah.
are like, take the win. Come on, let's just be real. um,
And it's just a passion, because it changed my life, and that's like the team too. Like everyone's so passionate about it because it's like when you find like this answer that changes your life, you just want everyone to know about it, and you're excited when people learn about it themselves.
and how does it like? How do you actually feel though, knowing that, like, because you've been through the life changing, you've been through this, you've done it all, and like you are like, as silly or however it sounds, you are a main like cog in the machine that is helping people do that. Like,
Yeah.
you must feel so good.
Thank you. I don't know. It's just like you can't see the forest through the trees maybe some days. It's just kind of my world. To be honest, like I feel really, really blessed to do work that is so meaningful to me
Yeah.
because part of my story with alcohol is like I would just get jobs that were like corporate jobs where I could do the bare minimum, be hungover, it was not fulfilling at
Hmm.
all. I was just living to drink basically. So to have work that is meaningful and helpful for people, it just means the world. But it does come with some, like I've had to get a thick skin because there's some real angry people out there who hate the message I'm spreading. So I've gotten death threats and nasty emails and horrible comments and stuff. But I'm kind of used to it after all these years at this point.
They can get in my comments, bitches, because I'll tell them exactly where to go. Okay, cool. Well, what I'd like to end this on is because obviously we started like the first half going through like the troubles, trials, tribulations, and then we finished off on such a high note. What I would like to do is if you could just sort of give just a brief sort of overview of how much like what's improved in life, like going from, because the aim is there could be people here listening who are suffering with addiction. It could be to anything, and
Yeah.
the idea is to tell them sort of what can change and how things can improve. Can you put it in like a few sentences for people listening so you can just be like, this is what you're missing out on?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess what I'll say is, hindsight's 2020, but when I was in the thick of my decade-long battle with alcohol, I really lived for alcohol. Like I worshiped alcohol. I wanted it every free moment. It was how I planned my life, who I hung out with, what I did, it all revolved around alcohol. And Andrew Huberman, who probably everybody knows, he has this quote that goes, an addiction is a gradual narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. And I just found that to be so true that, like, the
Wow.
only thing that brought me pleasure in life was alcohol. And, like, that world got smaller and smaller as I progressed down that path. And what I realized as I got free from this, not because I was white knuckling it or forcing myself not to drink, but because I just genuinely didn't feel like drinking as much, is that like there's a whole world of
Hmm.
pleasure out there and enjoyment and so many ways to have joy and meaning and purpose and all of that. And when we drink alcohol in the way that I did, it just robs that all from you, and your standards for your life just get lower and lower. And so as we start to break free from that and see that we're like empowered over alcohol and like genuinely choosing not to drink, not because we can't, but because we don't want to, it
Hmm.
just opens up a whole world of like, it's so cliche, but like possibility, and anything becomes possible. You can develop, meaningful hobbies, or you can find a whole new, line of work, or, find passions, and to be resilient, to be able to go through difficult times and not lean on a substance. It's just like, it's life changing in the best way possible. And I'm in a place now where like no alcohol buzz is like better than that, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
it took my brain being fixed. Like I was not free when I was sober 6 months before this treatment. I was still highly obsessed on alcohol, even though I wasn't drinking it. But to be not obsessed with it anymore and to have other beautiful ways to enjoy life, like a whole new world opened up for me. And so that was more than a couple sentences, but I
No,
hope that
that's
resonates with people.
that resonated with me, and I've never been in that situation. So nah, 100%. That was actually beautiful.
Oh,
Sounds
good.
nah, it really was, and it's like you say, like you're when you were going through those 6 months, to go back to it, it's like your whole life is then worrying about drinking alcohol. Like
Hmm.
you've gone from being like thinking about alcohol in one way to thinking about it another way, and
Yep.
like you say, life just opens up. And that quote is phenomenal. Actually, never heard that
Yeah.
before, but that's like makes so much sense. It
Yeah.
makes
It
so much
really does.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been a pleasure. Um,
Thanks.
where can everybody find your stuff? So your website, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. I'll put it in the show notes as well. But it's also good because just to say it.
Yeah. No, it's been such an awesome conversation. I just want to thank you for having me on. It was really
You're
great.
very welcome.
So people, my website is thrivealcoholrecovery.com, and I am on social media with that same handle as well. I put a lot of videos out on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram talking about this treatment. I have a lot of success stories on YouTube of people who've gone through it. I'm always adding more. So if people are curious to hear from others who've gone through it, that's there as well.
Amazing, amazing. And as always, people, if you're listening to this, you know where I am. Hit that follow button, hit that like button, comment, share, tell your nan about it, tell your dog about it, tell everybody about it. Because we're here and it's called Let's Get Chatting for a reason. It's to talk about things that are going to improve your life, whether it's your mental health, whether it's recovery, anything like that, spirituality, anything like that. We're here to, that's what I'm here for. I want to just make people's lives better and talk to people who you wouldn't usually talk to. And I'll end it, as I always end it. If you see one of your friends on the street and you say, hey, how are you? Mean it as in asking them a question, not as a greeting, because just going up to somebody and saying, how are you, can change their day. Thanks for listening. Love you all.